Dr. Chao, you've been listening. What would you draft if you were able to pick in the Halloween candy draft?
I've been listening all morning, writing the Outkick article that'll post soon, and I've been very entertained. You may call my pick boring, and I promise it has nothing to do with being Asian and rice, but I would go with a classic Nestle Crunch or a Crackle Bar kind of deal. Little texture in the chocolate.
I think a Nestle Crunch is a solid pick. Back in the day, I feel like Nestle Crunch used to advertise a ton for baseball, like in the 80s. You remember what I'm talking about? Like, I felt like they were always on, like during Chicago Cub games, like the Nestle Crunch bar was pretty popular. I think that's a solid draft pick. Very solid draft pick.
It's an offensive lineman, but you need offensive linemen on your team.
way better than many of the other picks. What do you think about Schwartz sending his daughter out into the hurricane?
Look, Clay, I love your analysis, right? And you're sending your daughter out in a hurricane, but I think there's one deeper thing here. I heard a lot of paper crackling there. What's worse than sending your daughter to school in a hurricane, packing her lunch in a paper bag? I mean, can you get her
in the
a
middle of the
plastic bag
hurricane? All the food is going to get wet. The bag's going to fall apart. I mean, Schwartz just failing as a father in pretty much every respect that morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's the deeper analysis,
got to go
right?
plastic. If you're going to send them out into the hurricane, at least let them have a little bit of waterproof. The whole bag's going to fall apart.
I didn't hear you zipper lunch boxes or anything. It was just a paper bag. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's great. Also, like, why does he hate the environment? In addition to the fact that the hurricane's hitting, he can't have the lunch box that you can reuse over and over and over again. This is a solid analysis by you. All right, so we got Thursday Night Football coming back. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. How would you assess the relative health of the Falcons and the Panthers coming up with tonight's hurricane game?
Well, everyone thinks the Falcons are the more injured team, and they have been, right? They're 1-6, and their secondary's been injured, but they're actually getting healthier, and everyone's focused on all the wide receivers from Julio to Ridley to Russell Gage. They're all going to play. So the Falcons are the slightly healthier team, but more importantly, they're trending in the right direction. They're getting healthier, and that makes a big difference too. Whereas the Panthers are missing at least three defensive starters, and then Christian McCaffrey. No surprise to me that he's not playing. You don't go be out for 6 weeks, practice twice. You're the team's MVP, and they're conservative with you, and you're not winning the Lombardi this year, and then put him in a Thursday game. That's just not happening, and we've been saying that all week.
What do you expect, shifting gears here for a minute, the Justin Turner situation? Guy tests positive the first time, according to Major League Baseball, in the second inning. They expedite his testing and find out that he's positive again in the eighth inning. Let's presume that he's actually positive, okay? It's not a false positive. Is he putting things much more at risk being on the field for 5 or 10 minutes to celebrate at the end of that game after he's exposed himself? No, I don't know if he's exposed himself or not. I don't want to get him in trouble for that too. But after he's theoretically been around his teammates for the entirety of a baseball game and for months at a time, I know you talk about the length of time that you might be in close proximity to someone with a virus, and that was the first thing that I thought. It seems unlikely that he's doing anything that creates a great deal of danger, even though it's gotten a lot of attention.
Well, yeah, I'll address that point in a second. But, in terms of an investigation, Major League Baseball shouldn't be investigating, or we shouldn't be investigating what Justin Turner did or didn't do. We should be investigating the policies that allow a player onto the field and getting test results during the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
no kidding.
What sense does that make? How are you timing these tests to get them during the game, whether it's the second inning or the eighth inning, and then making a change like that? Thankfully, it didn't have anything to do with the outcome of the game, but it really could have, right? I mean, they were playing with fire there. That would be my curiosity, not what Justin Turner did or didn't do.
Yeah,
afterwards.
You're right.
And in terms of your point, Clay, look, baseball is a socially distanced sport. We all know the CDC guidelines by now, 6 feet, 15 minutes. Who is within 6 feet of a third baseman on the field for 15 minutes? Nobody even close. The irony is putting him in the dugout or the locker room potentially put more people in danger, right? Unless he was in his own area. Now, I'm not saying there's no risk, but I'm just saying, the risk is relatively higher if you put him in the locker room or dugout than it is on the field even. And here's the thing. Who can blame the guy? And I'm not saying be socially irresponsible, this, that, the other, but I thought I saw him mostly wearing his mask when he went back to celebrate with his players, except when kissing his wife and taking the picture with the team. Maybe I'm mistaken, but, I didn't see every second of it. So I don't know. I think it's an optics problem created by Major League Baseball based on the timing more than anything else.
I think that's exactly right. What else should we know about major injury-related issues as we get ready for NFL Week 8?
Well, the biggest shift, and we started talking about it last week, was the quote, the new home field advantage, right? If you're a close contact and you're deemed high risk, you cannot do anything for 5 days. So if you are positive in any way, shape, or form, either from testing or from close contact midweek, you're out the next game. I mean, that's part of the unseen thing that's happening here. And there are some more home field advantages because of that, because you can't travel when you're on the list, et cetera. And I think it's a good move by the NFL. It's going to make teams finally be proactive and not have close contacts. We've been saying for a while, look, waiting to figure out who the close contacts are after there's a positive is like being at the beach and seeing someone's shoulders red and then worrying about yourself and whether you put sunscreen on. It's a little late at that point in time. The whole point of contact tracing is that you have nobody who's high risk or been in close contact in meeting rooms, et cetera. And hopefully that'll shift the focus to be more proactive going forward for the NFL.
What do you think about the Big Ten requiring a 21-day quarantine for players that test positive? Does that make any sense given the guidelines?
Well, I always chuckle at hard and fast guidelines, especially when they're done on a timeline that doesn't make medical sense. I mean, why 21 days? Why not 22? Because they're saying 3 weeks, okay? But medically, if you're making a medical decision, you should either let medical professionals judge or do them on medical basis. Hey, the potential symptoms can be delayed for 5 to 7 days. Okay, so you choose 7 days or 8 days. That makes some sense. But 21 days is a little bit arbitrary, and I'm always for putting the decisions in the hands of medical people. Now, I get it. You probably don't want to leave it in the hands of a team physician who might get pressured by a coach or a university, but figure out a way to make it an independent medical decision in some way, shape, or form and have it make a lot of sense. And we've talked about the heart issues, and that seems to be dwindling some. I mean, most of you maybe hopefully have seen this Ross Dellinger article at Sports Illustrated. He's written a couple of them now that say that we have yet, medical experts he has spoken to have said that they have yet to find any on-field cross-team transmission of COVID. No documented case of one player transmitting to an opponent yet. So the whole Stephon Gilmore, Patrick Mahomes hug, wasn't a risk event either.
Yep.
I mean, you shouldn't go around hugging people who have COVID. I'm not saying that, but it's just not a high-risk activity.
Outstanding stuff as always. Go read him at Outkick.com. He's writing right now. He's Dr. David Chao at Pro Football Doc. Appreciate it, my man.
Thank you.